Hey everyone, my name is Kerwin Waters. I'm a director in Watershed. So, like Christian, the business was founded by my father, and we're still a family-owned business. So it was started a little over 30 years ago. We now have 5 separate operating facilities across the UK and Ireland, Germany, and Poland. We specialize, similar to Christian as well, in primarily kind of your premium food and beverage. We also have a specialist pharmaceutical site, automotive, and sort of your household chemie is kind of our primary end markets. For a lot of our plants, when I joined, we had Label Traxx, but kind of thinking about some of our more recent acquisitions, on top of obviously what Christian said, and I think I can echo all of that, things around customer service, traceability, just the issues with the issues just with anything manual. It's always turns into a challenge. But I think one of the things we found, particularly post acquisition for us, was how do we make the right investment decision? And when you don't know, for example, average run lengths or throughput numbers or utilization numbers or what your mix of work is, it's hard to then make a decision around, okay, well, what kind of press is it? Is it digital? Is it flexo? Is it should it be 6 station, 8 station, 10 station, 13 inch, 20 inch, until you start getting that sort of data into the system, it's difficult to make an informed investment decision. I think you can do things on the back of an envelope and you can get a sense for how how the business is doing, for sure, but even setting the targets in advance of the press being installed, how do you ensure that when you bring a press in, that post installation, that it's actually doing what it's supposed to be doing, and in line with the investment thesis that you put forward. And I think that's certainly the challenge we had until we got Label Traxx in. We started to understand, okay, wow, which press should we look at first, which is the least productive, what is the right press for this business, for this piece of work that we're trying to tackle.
Really interesting point you make is essentially you made an investment in workflow, right? Happened to be Label Traxx, so that you could capture better data, so that you can make decisions about how to make better investments.
Yeah. I mean, I won't even entertain a decision unless we have data to back it up. I think that having come from a data-heavy background, I was saying, Rob, just before the call, is that the amount of people, the amount of CEOs I met, CFOs I met, that said, I don't need to crunch the numbers. I know the numbers. And every time we did it as part of an acquisition process, there always seemed to be kind of a breath that say, actually, we put it in front of them. I was like, oh wow, I wasn't expecting that, particularly when there wasn't the sort of level of data that they needed. So, for us now, the first thing we do, and we tell this to all of our potential acquisition targets, is, if you don't have a system in place, it is the one thing we aren't going to, we're not gonna accept that the first decision we make is to look at a Label Traxx to be put in, so that we can all start moving away from what we think is going into the business, that we actually know what's going on in the business, and it's the first decision for us every time.
Did you consider other other alternatives besides Label Traxx? And I'm not really asking you to talk about our competitors necessarily. In your case, Kerwin, it's really clear that you're interested in making good investment decisions. Your company had experience with Label Traxx.
I mean, the only decision I would change is that probably on the first acquisition that I made, I was slightly slow to pull the trigger on Label Traxx. If I was doing it again, it would have been faster. That's the only, just losing that quarter probably. I think that's the only decision. It's so crucial. We spend our life in the data now, and every decision we make is based around that, and it just removes so much stress and so much sort of circular conversation when you just can all sit down and say, guys, this is the numbers. you know, we're not judging, or we're not, you know, all we're trying to do is improve the business. And you know, once everyone get on board with that, it just takes so much stress out of the business.
As you've moved along, you know, what did you notice as some of the most significant improvements?
I mean, it's just both. I mean, there's improvements across the board. I mean, like every single one of those there, you're hitting. I mean, inventory, you know, we're able to manage inventory far more effective. We're able to order far more effectively. Cash flows managed better. There's less mistakes. You know, absolutely agree with Christian. Just communication channels throughout the business are just a lot more crisp. Even if you look at something as simple as capacity management, being able to look today, I can tell you right now across the group, you know, where capacity is. So maybe a bit different for us, but you know, we can ensure that we can move capacity to meet demand. I mean, it just, the entire business just runs so much smoother when you've got that live visibility into you know, just something as simple as capacity.